Well, good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Scott Manning coming to you live from Scott Manning YouTube Talk. I want to thank all of my loyal viewers for being with me here this morning. I just want to take a few minutes and chime in. Just real quick. The new AP Top 25 college football has been released. And like my message says at the beginning of my video, there have been some major changes to all over the top 25. The only thing that hasn't changed is Alabama's still number 1. Georgia and Clemson have flip-flopped. Georgia's now number 2. Clemson has dropped to number 3, surprisingly. Ohio State still remains at 4. Oklahoma's still at 5. LSU, a big winner for the weekend. After beating number 7 Auburn 22-21 in Auburn this past Saturday. They were one of the big winners. They jumped 12 spots from number 12 to number 6. There's one big winner. Stanford's moved up 2 spots up to number 7. Notre Dame is still the same at number 8. Auburn, as a result of them giving the game away this past Saturday, dropped 2 spots down to number 9. Penn State moved up 1 spot to number 10. Washington now moves up to number 11. West Virginia, despite the fact that the Mountaineers couldn't play because of Hurricane Florence, moved up 2 spots from number 14 to number 12. Virginia Tech still stayed at number 13. Number 14, Mississippi State, they moved up a spot up to number 14. Oklahoma State, the biggest winner of the weekend after that battle against Boise State, they moved up 9 spots from number 24 to number 15. Central Florida, despite the fact they couldn't play because of Hurricane Florence, moved up 2 spots as well. Surprisingly, TCU, with the loss over Ohio State, only dropped 2 spots from number 15 to number 17. Wisconsin, the biggest loser of the weekend, lost 12 spots. They went from number 6 to number 18. Michigan still stayed the same at 19, Oregon 20, Miami 21. I got a few things to say. Real quick, Michigan State came in at number 24. But I want to welcome 3 brand new teams to the top 25. Texas A&M comes in at number 22. Boston College comes in at number 23. And BYU, I said there was a possibility they could get into the top 25. They did. Granted, they came in at number 25, but they got in as a result of their big victory over Wisconsin this past Saturday. But what can you say about the BYU Cougars? Squally Canada, the hero of the day. 11 carries, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns against a Wisconsin defense that was lost out there. Wisconsin, if Alex Hornibrook is an average quarterback, they'll be good enough to win they'll be lucky to win the Big Ten West, and that's it. If Alex Hornibrook can improve, they got a shot at the Big Ten title. LSU, what can you say about the LSU Tigers? Going down into Jordan-Hare, down in Auburn, and they took care of business. It took a last-second field goal from Cole Tracy to do it. They shot 6 spots from number 12 to number 6. And what can you say about Ohio State? Despite the fact they didn't go nowhere, a big victory over TCU. I mean, you have Dwayne Haskins. Let me see if I got my notes here. Dwayne Haskins threw for 344 yards, 2 touchdowns in their victory. And I will give TCU credit. They played Ohio State as hard as they could. I'll give you that any day of the week. Excuse me. However, TCU is a great football team. Sean Robinson, 24-40, 308 yards. He threw a touchdown, but he was picked off twice. What can you say? Well, let me say this. This has been one whale of a weekend. Notre Dame barely survived Vanderbilt. That worries me because Notre Dame plays Wake Forest on Saturday. And I'm going to tell you right now, with Notre Dame playing Wake Forest, then the following week they got a home game against Stanford. If Notre Dame plays like they have, like against Ball State and Vanderbilt, Stanford's going to run all over them. And that's all there is to it. Now, Penn State has a big showdown against Ohio State here in a couple of weeks. Now, Ohio State does play Tulane on Saturday. But I'm thinking, a lot of people are already thinking past Tulane and thinking ahead to Penn State. Because that showdown is going to be in Happy Valley. And when I get the announcement for the time of that game, I will pass it along to all of you. And I will certainly do my best to call it fair and impartial, be as fair and impartial as possible, like I always am. But I want to talk about the big winner, Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy, he's a man. He's a man. He's a Stillwater rambling man. And I'll say this. For Gundy to come out and beat Boise State, a team that had 818 yards the previous Saturday, Oklahoma State went through them like they were nothing. Now, Boise State's now out of the top 25. Oklahoma was a big winner, shooting up 9 spots in the poll. Now, West Virginia will be back in action. And a lot of people have already said, there's been some people that have said the Big 12 race is literally going to be a 4-team race. Just think about it. You got Oklahoma, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and TCU. Now, TCU did lose Saturday. And Oklahoma and West Virginia, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State were winners on Saturday. Now, I said, I think West Virginia's going to take the Big 12, but I'm going to be honest with you. We got a 4-team race for the Big 12 title. We got to have a 4-team race for the Big 12 title. There's a lot to think about going down the road in the Big 12. TCU opens their Big 12 season against Texas this coming Saturday. And I will have the notes for that game for you. And I'm going to talk about the Big 12 a little bit more in depth on Friday night. Keep that in mind. But the Big 10 race, Ohio State may be the team to beat in the Big 10 East. But the Big 10 West, I'm going to say this now. If Alex Hornibrook plays average quarterback for the rest of the season, Wisconsin's only going to win the Big 10 West, and that's it. And Jonathan Taylor, he's got to do a better job of running the ball. BYU's defense stepped up to the plate. And I'm going to say this now. The Cougars could be a team that we should not be taking lightly. A lot of you are thinking, they're just a one-hit wonder. They're going to fade away. We might want to think about BYU, people. I'm going to tell you. The Cougars showed me a lot of something. They showed me something that I've never seen before. Now, I grant you, BYU has no passing game. Tanner Mangum, 12 to 22 for 89 yards. That was it. BYU beat Wisconsin at their own game. They played Wisconsin kind of football, running through the gut, and I will give all the credit in the world to the offensive line. They stepped up, and that's all there is to it. And the top 25 has come out, and it showed. Wisconsin took a 12 position drop, while BYU barely just cracked the top 25 at number 25. But let me tell you something. The Cougars are a team you better be thinking about out in the Mountain West. A lot of people are saying, BYU should jump to the Pac-12. No way. BYU would be much better in the Mountain West because the Pac-12, Stanford, Washington, Oregon, USC, despite the fact that USC is no longer in the top 25. And I'm going to say this now. We're 3 weeks into the season, and it's already crazy. And there's a lot of people already talking about the college football playoff. And there's a lot of people talking about Heisman Trophy. We'll have to wait and see on that. But going forward, anything can happen, and it usually does. And the bottom line is, out in the Big 12, we got a 4-team race. In the Big 10, it's Ohio State and Penn State fighting for the Big 10 East, with Michigan on the outside looking in. And Michigan State's on the way outside looking in. And as far as the Pac-12, Stanford and Washington are going to decide the Pac-12 now, in my opinion. Notre Dame, on the other hand, if they play like they did against Ball State and Vanderbilt, they better play better against Wake Forest because they got Stanford coming up on Saturday night on the 29th. And that's a Saturday night battle in prime time on NBC. But let me tell you something. We're 3 weeks into the season, and it's just going to get crazy. You think it's going to settle down? Look out, folks. There's going to be a lot of major shuffling going on, and I think everybody knows it. And you can tell by the tone of my voice, it's time to get serious now. We've had fun the first few weeks, but now it's time to hunker down and get serious. Because I'm going to tell you now, this season is going to get crazy, and it's not going to light up anytime soon. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys for taking the time with me this morning. Please tune in Friday night, 10 o'clock p.m., right here on my YouTube channel. I will bring you Scott Manning, the Scott Manning College Football Podcast pregame show on Friday night at 10 o'clock. The only college football pregame show right here on YouTube on a Friday night. And please join me Saturday night at 11:30 p.m. or at midnight. I haven't decided yet. I have not decided as when how the 7:30, 8 o'clock games go. Please join me for the wrap-up show. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to enjoy the day. We're going to talk about it. Talk about the day in college football. I want to thank you guys for being here with me this morning. Until we meet again Friday night at 10 p.m., this is Scott Manning saying have a great day. Thank you so much for being with me, and God bless. Goodbye, everybody, and thank you.